Leo, final warning. May 15th to 17th, one mistake could cost you everything. Welcome back to Buddhist Daily Wisdom, where no sound is ever released without carrying a frequency from the universe, where no image appears unless it is guided by the invisible hand of divine synchronicity. And if you, a Leo, are here right now, listening to these sounds, feeling something strange yet familiar, like a ripple running down your spine, then stay, don't scroll, don't leave just yet. Because this video was never meant for entertainment. It is a ritual of warning, a sutra in spoken form, a final signal before the 3 most important days in your energetic cycle officially begin. From May 15th to 17th, a highly charged astrological phenomenon will unfold. The Sun, your ruling planet, is entering a direct opposition with the waning moon in Aquarius, a sign known for its cold, objective, and emotionally detached energy, the polar opposite of Leo's blazing fire. At the same time, Mercury continues its retrograde, distorting information, clouding logic, and pulling every decision during these 3 days into the hands of the untrained ego rather than true awareness. And when ego is triggered between the threshold of light and shadow, even one small mistake can burn down everything you've built throughout the entire past cycle. Leo, you are not just the flame, you are the sun of the zodiac. But your light, if not accompanied by wisdom, can also become the very fire that scorches everything you touch, including yourself. There is a forgotten quatrain from Nostradamus that, when revisited during this exact period, feels like a prophecy whispered just for you: the fire that rises too fast shall burn what it was meant to protect. Something will happen in the next 3 days, a compliment, a chance to shine, a situation where you feel the urge to assert yourself immediately. But remember, not every light is an invitation. Some things come to test you. Some words are meant to knock your center off balance. And only when you are still enough, observant enough, and humble enough will you recognize it before it's too late. In Buddhism, there is an ancient teaching that says, the greatest king is not the one who gives the most commands, but the one who controls his mind in the moment of provocation. Leo, you were born to lead, but true leadership does not lie in controlling others, it lies in mastering oneself. And the 3 days from the 15th to the 17th will be your test. Are you clear enough to pause before reacting? Wise enough to step back before anger rises? Awake enough to observe before concluding? The universe doesn't send warnings to everyone. Only those who have traveled far enough are awakened in time. And if you're hearing this, if you feel your heartbeats subtly shifting, if you sense a piece of your soul cracking open in silence, then this is not coincidence. This is the return of your inner light, and you must mark this moment with a sacred act, like those of the ancients who lit candles before stepping into a holy temple. Press subscribe to Buddhist Daily Wisdom now, not just to follow a YouTube channel, but to send a signal to the universe that you are ready to step into your true light. From the moment you do that, you are declaring, I choose awareness. I choose wisdom over reaction. I choose to hold my destiny in hands that have been purified. And if you feel something resonating within you, drop a heart beneath this video as a sacred seal that you've made it this far and that you understand. And if you truly wish to mark the beginning of a new prosperous cycle, comment below with the words, I choose power with peace. Because real power never comes from domination. It comes from a peace so steady, nothing outside can shake you. You cannot change the circumstances of the next 3 days. But you can change how you walk through them. And if you choose awareness, I promise you, the things that seem like collapse will become the launching pad for a destiny more radiant than ever before. Leo, you did not come to this world to chase a crown, you came here to become it. But you can only do that if you learn how to hold your light without letting your ego burn everything around you. Stay with me, because the next part is where I will unveil the dangerous energetic threads of May 15th to 17th, the traps disguised in false light, and the seemingly small choices that could flip your entire fate. If you're still here, then you are ready. Part 1, the dangerous energies of May 15th to 17th for Leo. Some days arrive like a warm breeze brushing gently across your heart, then disappearing without a trace. But there are also days when a single misstep in breath, a mistaken glance, or a word spoken without care is enough to turn your entire destiny off course. And for Leo, from May 15th to 17th, the universe is not sending you a breeze but a test cloaked in light. It may come as a sweet compliment, an opportunity to be noticed, a situation that makes you want to speak up, prove yourself, shine. But during these days, that light is not real, it is artificial light, born of shadows yet to be transformed. And if you are not clear enough to recognize it, you will not only walk into a mistake, but drag your sacred fire into illusion. The Sun, your ruling planet, during these 3 days falls under an exact opposition with the waning moon in Aquarius, a collision of polarities. While Leo holds the energy of individuality, identity, of I am, Aquarius represents the collective, reason, emotional distance. When these forces clash, you may feel doubted, judged, challenged, or worse, ignored. And for Leo, this is not just uncomfortable, it's a direct strike at your pride. You'll want to reaffirm yourself. You'll want to prove your worth. You'll want to shine at any cost. But in that moment, you become the moth drawn to a flame you mistook for your own light. On top of that, Mercury is retrograde in Taurus, an earth sign, slow, stubborn, and prone to getting stuck in old patterns. This creates an inner tension within you. One side wants to leap forward with brilliance like fire. The other is being pulled down by repetition, stagnation, and confusion about your own value. You may feel unseen, misunderstood, or placed in situations where you're easily provoked, easily react, easily say something that later you'll regret. That's the energy of impulsiveness, and it doesn't come from malice but from a wound you haven't yet faced, a wound from when you were dismissed, when you were underestimated, when you were called too much. And now, as the universe places you in a situation that echoes that same feeling, you will be given the chance either to repeat or to transform. In a forgotten manuscript buried in a European library, Nostradamus once wrote, "The lion roars not to threaten, but to protect the pain it carries in silence." This line may seem obscure, but under the current astrological climate, it reveals a deep layer of awakening. Leo, you don't always roar to show your strength. You roar because there's something inside you that's never been embraced. And from May 15th to 17th, you will be placed there once again. The universe isn't trying to hurt you. It's asking, do you still need to prove something, or have you grown enough to know your presence alone is already enough? The Buddha taught, the strong one is not the one who strikes back, but the one who holds the hand when anger rises. So if someone says something during these days that makes you want to defend yourself, stay silent. If someone wounds you, step back. If an opportunity arrives that makes you think, if I don't grab this now, I'll lose it, remember, real life is never rushed. Only illusions demand urgency. And sometimes all you need is a few hours, a day or two, for the truth to reveal itself, and for you to realize you were never meant to take that path. And if these words are touching something quiet and personal inside you, then now is the time to anchor your energy into a more stable frequency. Press subscribe to Buddhist Daily Wisdom right now, not just to receive videos, but to send a signal into the higher plane that says you choose wisdom over instinct. And from the moment you commit with action, you've already begun to shift your fate. Leave a comment below. I choose strength through silence, because Leo's true power doesn't lie in the roar but in the ability to stay centered in the face of temptation. Drop a heart beneath this video as a soul stamp that you saw the trap but chose to walk with true light instead. From May 15th to 17th, you may feel challenged from every side, but that's not chaos, that's reflection. It's the mirror the universe holds up to show you where you're still reacting, where you haven't yet forgiven, where your heart still longs to be held. And when you see that clearly, you're no longer the one being wounded, you become the observer, the keeper of the flame, the one who knows when to burn and when to simply glow. You cannot control the energy of the cosmos, but you can choose not to react from pain. And just by doing that, you step into a new level of your soul's journey, a Leo who no longer needs to shine to be seen, but one who simply arrives, and the entire universe goes silent to listen. Part 2, one mistake could cost you everything. Not every downfall begins with a fall. Some arrive through a smile, a compliment, a tender glance, a moment where you think you're winning, but in truth you're being drawn into a trap dressed in the cloak of light. Leo, between May 15th and 17th, if something stirs your heart, don't rush to call it an opportunity. Because what touches your pride the most, what awakens your desire to prove, to lead, to be seen, might be the very thing that causes you to lose more than you imagine. A decision that seems harmless, a reaction in a split second, a sentence spoken to defend the ego, an action to prove, I'm still strong, that could be the mistake you carry for the rest of the year. The danger of this moment lies in this, everything seems real. Mercury retrograde distorts every stream of communication. The sun, your identity, is mirrored by a cold waning moon in Aquarius, pushing you into scenarios where you're likely to be misunderstood, misjudged, or dismissed. And when a Leo feels their light is not being acknowledged, the instinctive response is to burn brighter, harder, and if needed, explode. But you must understand, stronger light doesn't always lead to better outcomes. Sometimes, one wrong flare can incinerate the dream you've built with devotion. There's an old quatrain by Nostradamus that says, the crown shall fall not by enemy's sword, but by pride unguarded. Leo, you were born wearing a crown. But sometimes, it is not your enemies that remove it, it is your lack of pause, the reflex of being too right too fast, the untransformed pride that causes the crown to fall without a sound. And the most dangerous part is, you won't even know it's falling until it's too late. Because Leo's greatest mistake isn't cruelty, it's the rush to prove a truth without first asking, true for whom? And does it really need to be proven at all? The Buddha taught, sometimes silence is the wisest answer. During these 3 days, you don't need to do much, just don't react instantly, don't reply too quickly, don't draw conclusions too soon, and you will already have sidestepped some of karma's most elegant traps. Because the tests of these days are not here to break you, they're here to ask, have you truly matured, or are you still reacting like a younger Leo, eager to prove, rather than choosing to hold the flame in silence? Imagine receiving an offer, a partnership, an old lover returns to apologize, a scenario arises where you feel you have the upper hand. Your instincts will whisper, grab it, this is your moment to claim the spotlight. But that's not true intuition, that's ego in disguise. And if you act from that space, you may think you're stepping up, but in reality, you're stepping sideways into a parallel timeline where things begin to slip away quietly, like a light fading when no one's looking. And then you'll look back and wonder, why did everything that once felt so bright suddenly turn dark? But if you're hearing this, it means it's not too late. You're still in the right place. There's still time to course correct, to own your energy, to shift from reaction to reflection, from impulse to awareness, from, I need to win, to, I need to protect my inner light. And if these words don't just touch your logic but strike something silent and deep within, then that is your sign, you are ready to step into true maturity. No more fighting, no more proving, just standing firmly in your own inner radiance, enough to make the world shift in gentle, right-aligned ways. If you've stayed with me this far, I invite you to press subscribe to Buddhist Daily Wisdom right now, not just as a button, but as a vow to the universe. I choose not to repeat the old mistake. I choose wisdom over emotion. I choose true light without the need to react. And from the moment you perform that ritual, your fate begins to shift. What is meant for you will find you. What no longer belongs will fade away quietly, without conflict. Leave a comment below. I lead from stillness. I protect my fire. Because when you write those words, you imprint a new energetic code for yourself, where reaction is replaced by awareness, where impulse is softened by sacred clarity. And if you know someone, another Leo like you, or anyone facing major life choices, share this video with them. You won't just be helping them, you'll become a messenger of awareness. And maybe your simple act today is the very reason someone avoids a mistake they might carry for a lifetime. You don't need to stop the wind from blowing. You only need to build a mountain, solid in a stance. And the moment you can sit still inside your own light, nothing can knock you over again. Leo, you are not here to react. You are here to lead. And true leaders don't need to shout to be heard, they only need to be silent at the right moment, and everything begins to follow. Part 3, How to Protect Your Energy During These Days. For Leo, there are storms you cannot stop, winds you cannot block, and there are energy cycles, no matter how prepared you are, that arrive as unavoidable chapters in the journey of awakening. But Leo, there is one thing you can always do, build a flame within that cannot be extinguished, no matter how chaotic the world becomes. Because you are not just a symbol of strength, you are the keeper of light in the age of uncertainty. From May 15th to 17th, your entire energetic system will be tested, not by catastrophe, but through small, subtle moments that strike directly at the heart of your pride, the place where you're most vulnerable. Someone may make you feel disrespected. A silence may leave you feeling dismissed. An opportunity may appear at just the perfect time, leaving you confused about whether to trust it or to wait. And do you know what's most dangerous? It's when you feel you must act right now, because that urgency is the first sign that your inner center is being hijacked. So the most important thing during these 3 days is not action, but guarding your mind from unnecessary action. And that can't be done by logic alone. It must be rooted in ritual, a deep practice that brings you back to the ground of your own strength. I invite you to begin each morning with 10 minutes of silent meditation. No music. No guidance. Just you, your breath, and the light in your heart. Imagine a golden flame burning inside you. Each inhale feeds it oxygen. Each exhale releases the smoke of negative emotion from your body. This isn't visualization for relaxation. This is a sacred ignition, a way for Leo to enter the day like a true king, observing first, deciding second. After meditation, spend 5 minutes writing. Write anything that's making you feel unsettled. Write the name of the person bothering you. Write the feeling you can't quite name. No grammar needed. No poetry. Just write to pull emotion from your nervous system. Because what isn't written will find its way out through speech, behavior, or worse, through a wrong decision. Once written, you can burn the paper or simply tear it as a symbolic release. In Buddhism, this is known as purifying consciousness through language, and it's this kind of non-judgmental recognition that dissolves karma and keeps it from cycling back. And if during the day you feel yourself pulled into anger, the urge to respond, to set the record straight, remember this: truth does not need to be defended with emotion. Truth is always present, and those with stillness will see it. You don't need to raise your voice for others to understand you. You just need to be so grounded, so steady, that anyone who comes near is reflected in your light. This is a skill, and you are now learning it. If you'd like an energetic ally, I recommend using Sunstone, a perfect crystal companion for Leo. It holds the vibration of confidence, radiance, and courage, while also helping to balance emotional excess and ground chakras shaken by ego. Wear it on your left hand or place it somewhere visible in your workspace to remind you, true light doesn't come from performing, it comes from glowing in silence. Nostradamus once scribbled a line in a notebook never officially published: "He who holds the flame must not dance with every wind, for the light is precious and the wind is endless." We do not need to answer every ripple. Sometimes, not reacting is the greatest signal of a soul that has matured. And if you feel that what I'm sharing here is not just theory, but actually touching something real inside you, then do something sacred right now. Press subscribe to Buddhist Daily Wisdom, because from the moment you do, you are no longer just a listener, you've stepped onto the path of true awakening. Subscribing isn't about more content, it's about sealing a vow to yourself: I choose to keep my fire, no matter how wild the wind gets. Drop a fire emoji beneath this video as a sign that you're still holding your light. And if you truly wish to strengthen your protective field, comment, I am guarding my fire. I burn with purpose, not with pride. That will be your energetic sigil, a frequency code that keeps negative energy from entering your space. You may choose to share this video with a friend, not to make them understand you better, but to help them see themselves more clearly. Because Leo doesn't lead with speeches. Leo leads with presence. When you hold your flame, you don't need to convince anyone. Your light will rearrange every vibration around you. In these 3 days, you don't need to avoid the waves, you just need to stand like a lighthouse. And when the storm passes, you'll see who truly stayed, what truly belongs to you, which opportunities are meant for you without struggle, and which light is truly yours without needing to be forced into being. Remember, Leo does not live to be seen. Leo lives to remind the world that light cannot be manipulated. And you're doing that day by day, by slowing down, observing more deeply, and protecting your flame with sacred awareness. The truth is, you can be intelligent, you can be talented, you can be loved, influential, and walking just steps away from the dream you've longed for your entire life. But if you lose your awareness even for a moment, a single wrong decision can be enough to make everything collapse. The first story is about Elizabeth Holmes, once praised as the female Steve Jobs of America. She founded the company Theranos at just 19, attracted hundreds of millions of dollars from major investors, and was listed by Forbes as one of the most powerful women in America. But Elizabeth made one fatal mistake, choosing glory over truth. When her blood testing technology failed to perform as promised, instead of stopping, she kept inflating results, deceiving customers and the government. One decision, to stay silent instead of speaking the truth, turned her from a genius into a fraud. Sentenced to prison in the year 2023, she had it all: talent, opportunity, brilliance. But an unaware ego burned it all to the ground. Then there's Will Smith, once the golden man of Hollywood. Everything fell apart with one slap. In a moment of lost control at the 2022 Oscars, Will thought he was defending his wife's honor. But in truth, he defended his ego by destroying a 30-year career. The price: a shattered image, film contracts postponed, and a media scar not easily erased. One action, born from an unprocessed emotion, became a long and painful fall. There's one thing both of these stories have in common: they were not bad people. They weren't malicious. They didn't come into the world to cause harm. But they forgot to pause. Forgot to breathe. Forgot to observe. Forgot to ask, where am I acting from? From the light, or from the shadow? And if you think this only happens to celebrities, listen to the story of David Mullins, a truck driver from Tennessee. Exhausted after a long day, in a moment of anger during a phone call with his wife, David looked down to check a message while driving. He thought it would take just 3 seconds. But in those 3 seconds, he caused an accident that killed a young couple. David is not a criminal. He's a good father, hardworking, devoted to his family. But one moment of distraction, one wrong decision, changed everything. He's now serving a 20-year sentence for a message that wasn't worth it. And if you are a Leo, then this is the moment when you must understand this more than anyone, because you never fall because you're weak. You fall when you think you're being strong, but in truth, you're acting from a wound that hasn't yet healed. The truth is, no one reaches real light until they've learned when to hold the flame. In Buddhist philosophy, the most important thing is not to always do right, but to know when to stop. You might be standing in the middle of a decision, a conflict, a very sweet temptation. You might want to prove that you're worthy. You might feel that if you don't respond, others will overpower you. But I ask you, breathe. Pause. Step back like a king who doesn't need to speak, only to see, to avoid walking the same tragic path of those who once shone too brightly. Turn May 15th to 17th into a ritual of mindfulness, not to escape fear, but to walk through light fully and with truth. And if you feel that any of these stories have touched you, comment right below. I choose clarity before action. Let it be your mantra, a signal you send into your energetic field that you've learned from the past of others so you don't have to relive the pain in your own future. Because you deserve sustainable light, not a flame that blazes and then dies. If you've walked with me this far, if you've listened to each thread of energy as if it weren't just words, but a signal arriving from a deeper dimension, if you found yourself falling silent somewhere along the way, as if the world outside suddenly slowed down, as if your heart opened and inhaled a layer of light long forgotten, then I know one thing for sure, you are the Leo who has walked through a doorway. Not a physical door, but an inner one where true light begins. Not the kind of light you use to impress others, but the kind of light you use to hold yourself when no one else understands. And that is the first sign of a Leo who has matured. From May 15th to 17th, you are not being asked to be strong. You are not being asked to speak so others will understand. You are simply being invited to be silent, to stand still, and to remain grounded, because in these 3 days, you will clearly see what is true light, and what is merely pretending to shine, tempting you to return to the old self. Doors will appear. Opportunities. People. Situations. All seemingly handing you the crown. But you must be awake enough to ask, is this real light or just a reflection from a self that's starving to be seen? An unconscious Leo will jump in. A Leo in transition will hesitate. But a Leo who has awakened will smile, stay still, and wait for the light within to illuminate the path. And it's only when you're still that you finally begin to see where things are truly coming from. Nostradamus once wrote, "When the lion kneels not to pride but to peace, the kingdom will reappear from ashes." Leo does not need to bow to anyone, but Leo must know when to bow before their own inner light. And that doesn't make you weak. It proves that you've understood your light can burn, so you choose to hold it instead, with gentler hands and a quieter heart. The Buddha taught, one who guards the mind guards the whole kingdom. When the mind is steady, nothing can break in. And from this moment forward, you will no longer live to react. You will live to lead, by presence. Every breath becomes a declaration. Every slow, conscious action becomes your way of saying, I don't need to fight for anything, because what is meant for me will come when I am ready to receive. And if something inside you has truly shifted, if it feels like you just shed a layer of ego that once hurt you, if you know in your soul that these 3 days are no longer a threat but a ritual of rebirth, then press subscribe to Buddhist Daily Wisdom now. Because what you've just heard is not meant to be remembered, it is meant to be lived. And you can only live it when you mark your transformation with action. Subscribing is not just a follow, it's a vow between you and the universe. I choose to hold the light. I choose awareness. I no longer need to roar, because I am the calmest roar of my own soul. Comment below, I have chosen light. I have chosen myself. Because that sentence is not just a statement, it's an energetic code, a signature you leave behind in this shared space so that someone else, another Leo lost in the fog of feeling, can find you and remember they are not alone. And if this touched something in you, share the video. You may never know who you just saved. But light always finds a way through those awake enough to carry it. And you, Leo, you are the torch. No more forcing. No more proving. Just the clarity of morning sunlight, not harsh, not loud, but undeniable. From this moment on, you are no longer someone trying to hold the light. You are the light.